Good afternoon. I would like to call the meeting of the Assembly Committee on Revenue to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Anderson. Present. Assemblywoman Cohen. Here. Assemblywoman Considine. Present. Assemblywoman Gallant. Present. Assemblyman Gray. Present. Assemblyman Hafen. Assemblywoman Mosca. Here. Assemblyman Wynn. Here. Assemblyman O'Neill. Here. Assemblyman Orentlicker. Here. Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong. Present. Chair Backus.
And please mark Assemblyman Hafen present when he arrives. Thank you, and I would like to welcome our audience members here in Carson City and down in Las Vegas, as well as those watching or listening over the internet. If you have not already done so, please mute all of your electronic devices. Persons wishing to testify today, please sign in at the table near the door. Before beginning to testify, please present a business card to the committee secretary and state your name clearly for the record. If you have any handouts for the committee, you should have 16 copies for the committee, in addition to providing your handout in electronic format to the committee staff. And I thank the Nevada Gaming Control Board for providing us with copies today. Also, if there's questions being asked today, please feel free to go directly to the member. You do not need to go through the chair when responding to any questions. We have one presentation on the agenda today by the Nevada Gaming Control Board. I would ask the presenters from the board to make their way to the table. Chairman Hendrick, welcome to the committee, and also please begin when you two are ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Backus, Vice Chair Considine, and members of the Assembly Committee on Revenue. It's an honor to be here before you today. For the record, I am Kirk Hendrick, Chairman of the Nevada Gaming Control Board. With me here today is Mike Morton, the board's Senior Policy Counsel. Also, board members George Assad and board member Brittany Watkins, along with Chief Chan Lingsavath of the board's Tax and License Division, are with us via video teleconferencing down to our offices in Las Vegas. As I said, it's an honor to present to you today the revenue sources that the board collects pursuant to various provisions in Chapter 463 of the Nevada Revised Statutes. To better understand the existing statutory framework as it relates to gaming taxes and fees, I will provide a very brief overview of how gaming regulation works in our state. And then Mr. Morton will guide the committee through the remainder of the board's presentation, specifically regarding taxes and fees and collections. Regarding Nevada's structure is a two-tiered regulatory system, and I know that many of you are also on the Assembly Judiciary Committee and recognize the fact that I presented partials of this presentation only Friday. So I will do my best in this background presentation to be as brief and as non-redundant and non-boring as possible this afternoon. The Nevada Gaming Control Board and the Nevada Gaming Commission are two separate entities. The board is the day-to-day regulator of the gaming industry. The board conducts investigations, audits, and makes recommendations on licensing matters. It also provides the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week enforcement of gaming laws and regulations. Lastly, and most relevant to this committee, the board collects all gaming taxes and fees on behalf of the state. The Nevada Gaming Commission is a part-time body composed of 5 members and is the final decision-making body on all recommendations forwarded by the Gaming Control Board. It is the commission that has final authority over all matters of licensing, disciplinary issues, policy formation, and including the sole authority to enact gaming-related regulations. There is also a third body that contemplates matters relating to gaming, known as the Gaming Policy Committee. This committee is comprised of members of the legislature, gaming regulators, representatives of the gaming industry, tribal representatives, and members of academia. It is a broadly represented body that provides policy advice and recommendations to the board and commission. This body gathers ideas and input from the public and other interested stakeholders, and policy recommendations are considered by the full board. Regarding the Gaming Control Board, the mission of the board is to provide strict regulation of any gaming-related activity, any person involved in gaming, employed in gaming, gaming locations, practices, associations, and any other business practices of many gaming companies. The statutory obligation of the board is to ensure the integrity and stability of the industry, as well as the reputation that has been hard-won throughout the world that makes the world know that Nevada's gaming regulation is second to none. The board has a critical role to perform in ensuring that taxes and fees are accurately and timely collected for the benefit of all Nevada's residents. The board is organized into 6 divisions, and to make this as brief as possible, I will cut the presentation down into saying that the administration does what you would expect. It involves all of the backbone structure of the Gaming Control Board's administrative functions. Secondly, as its name implies, the Audit Division performs audits of gaming licensees. The Audit Division is responsible for auditing Group 1 licensees, which for fiscal year 2023 are those licensees who have a gross gaming revenue of approximately $7.4 million per year at non-restricted locations. The board's enforcement division, as I mentioned earlier, is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year operation. The board enforcement division serves as the in-house unit of post-certified peace officers. Those agents conduct criminal and regulatory investigations, often work with board's other partners in law enforcement, local, state, and federal levels of all law enforcement. The enforcement division's investigations also range from tax fraud, anti-money laundering efforts, slot machine manipulation, and other types of gaming-related criminal activities. This division also arbitrates disputes between patrons and gaming licensees. The investigation division, as its name implies, investigates all persons and entities seeking to do business in Nevada's gaming industry. Initial investigations of applicants are forwarded for recommendations through extremely detailed reports having been conducted on anybody who wants to do gaming in our state. Thereafter, the investigations division serves the board in a monitoring role of current licensees, especially those related to publicly traded corporations and entities. Finally, the tax and license division provides a unit that collects all gaming taxes, fees, penalties, and fines. The division audits Group 2 licensees, which are those non-restricted licensees with a gross gaming revenue under the $7.4 million that I mentioned earlier. The Tax and License Division also monitors restricted licensees, locations such as taverns, supermarkets, convenience stores, even laundromats that may have several gaming machines. But the key to those are that restricted locations have 15 or fewer slot machines. The division also monitors gaming compacts entered into with Nevada's Native American tribes. Slide 8 refers us to a game, device, or software that can be placed on a casino floor. Those are all monitored by the board's technology division, which ensures that those devices must meet certain criteria before being available for play by the public. The division also works with independent test labs to ensure products, devices, and equipment meet Nevada's rigorous standards. The technology division also monitors trends in technology to stay ahead of the curve on new innovations in the gaming industry. Additionally, the division provides forensic support to other divisions, including investigations of technology-related issues or those that involve crimes surrounding technology issues. Lastly, the technology division oversees all of the board's information technology services. And now, with the chair's permission, I'd like to turn the remainder of the presentation over to Mr. Morton.
Thank you, Chairman Hendrick. For the record, Mike Morton with the Nevada Gaming Control Board. On slide 9, the pie chart on this slide shows the revenues collected during fiscal year 2022 by geographic area. For fiscal year 2022, the state collected nearly $1.2 billion in gaming taxes and fees. The table on slide 10 breaks down that approximately $1.2 billion by the tax or fee collected, with the largest category being the percentage fee collected pursuant to NRS 463.370, which I will discuss in more detail shortly. The line graph on slide 11 charts the historical annual collections for the three largest tax and fee categories: the percentage fees, the live entertainment tax, and the annual slot tax, which are then compared to the total tax and fee collections, which is represented by the blue line at the top of the graph. To provide some specific background on the live entertainment tax, or LET, the Gaming Control Board and the Department of Taxation jointly administer and collect this tax. If the live entertainment takes place at a licensed gaming establishment, the board is responsible for collecting the LET associated with that live entertainment event. The Department of Taxation collects LET associated with live entertainment events that take place at all other locations throughout the state. The board and the Department of Taxation are statutorily charged to work cooperatively to administer the live entertainment tax to provide consistency in its collections at gaming and non-gaming establishments alike. I just brought this out because, as you see on the graph, it looks like the live entertainment tax is a very low collection, but that's because the Gaming Control Board only collects that live entertainment tax when it happens at a gaming property. So now I'll go into each specific tax and fee that the Gaming Control Board collects. The percentage fees are discussed here on slide 12. The fee is based on the monthly gross gaming revenue generated by each non-restricted licensee, which is calculated based on the three-tiered scale that you see here. The majority of gross gaming revenue will be taxed at that 6.75% rate in the third tier, resulting in the two totals noted here for fiscal years 2021 and 2022. The statutory framework for the imposition of the live entertainment tax was streamlined by the passage of Senate Bill 266 in 2015, changing it from a 10% or a 5% rate based on certain specific factors to a flat 9% rate on any live entertainment where a venue levies an admissions charge. Here you can see the stark difference in the amount of live entertainment taxes collected in FY21 and 22 compared to FY19 and 20, which was due to the pandemic-related restrictions that were in place for almost all of fiscal year 2021. The next slide shows the fees on slot machines charged to non-restricted licensees, which is a quarterly fee of $20 per machine, as well as the restricted fees on slot machines, which are charged to restricted licensees based on how many machines each restricted licensee has available for play. Non-restricted game fees apply to the total number of table, card, or counter games a non-restricted licensee operates each quarter. The fee tiers are established in NRS 463.383. On the bottom half of this slide, shows the advanced license fees that are collected by the board. Advanced license fees are only applied to new operations in the state. A new licensee, after its first month of operation, pays a fee equal to 3 times the amount of percentage fees it owes for that first month. While many tend to think of gaming licensees in terms of casinos, bars, and restaurants, there are a large number of licensees that are critical to the success of the gaming industry. These licensees include equipment manufacturers, device distributors, and slot operators, just to name a few. This slide notes the annual fees paid by these types of non-casino licensees. The annual slot tax, paid by all licensees on a per slot machine basis, is $250 per year. This specific tax is distributed to various accounts and programs, with the first $5 million being deposited into the Capital Construction Fund for Higher Education, followed by 1/5 of the remainder to the Special Capital Construction Fund for Higher Education, while the balance is deposited to the State Distributed School Account. The bottom half of the slide again is the annual games fee based on the number of games a non-restricted licensee is operating. This fee is collected and split equally among Nevada's 17 counties. If a non-restricted licensee is in possession of a wagering voucher where monies are owed but never paid or redeemed prior to the voucher's expiration date, the licensee is required to remit 75% of the value of those unredeemed wagering vouchers to the state on a quarterly basis and is allowed to retain the remaining 25% of that expired wagering voucher. The last 3 fees that the board collects are on slides 19 and 20. These are related to interactive gaming licensees. So you have a license fee for the operator of an interactive gaming license, manufacturer of interactive gaming systems license, and an interactive gaming service provider license. For concluding remarks, I will turn the presentation back over to Chairman Hendrick.
Thank you, Mike. Again, for the record, Kirk Hendrick. The board is very proud to continue its long tradition of regulating the gaming industry with professional, timely, and effective standards. We thank you for the opportunity to be here today, Chair Backus, and we would be happy to answer any questions that you or the Assembly members may have.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Do we have any questions? Okay. We'll start with Assemblywoman Gallant.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I didn't think I would have a question the second time around, but I am curious about the expired wager vouchers. So when it's 75% is remitted to the state, or where does that go? Is that unclaimed funds?
Mike Morton, for the record, that money is deposited to the state general fund just with all of the other taxes and fees that we collect. So prior to 2011, unclaimed wagering vouchers were unclaimed property with the state treasurer's office. Nearly impossible to administer because those aren't associated a lot of times with any specific person. And so the legislature in 2011 enacted NRS 463, 369, which accounted for the wagering vouchers. So after 180 days, which is the normal expiration time, the licensee is required every month to remit 75% of those expired vouchers to the state, to the Gaming Control Board, which are then deposited to the general fund, and the licensee is allowed to keep the remaining 25%.
Wow, it's a lot of money people are leaving on the table.
Thank you. Assemblyman Orlichter?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentation. So you mentioned on the gaming percentage, the tax is 6.75% for most of it, because 134,000 is not a very high threshold. And my recollection is that we're pretty low compared to other states. Is that, what's the typical range for that kind of a tax?
Again, for the record, Kirk Hendrick. The tax, when you compare it to other states, is not always apples to apples because most of those states have a monopoly. They give out a specific number of licenses. So let's say they only allow 5 or 6 or a couple in each city or maybe 6 in the host state. So by doing that, their tax structure would be completely different than ours that doesn't have any cap.
Do you have absolutely, you can have a follow-up.
Oh, so are you saying they might have a higher tax rate, but because there are fewer facilities, they take in less money? Is that sort of what you're saying? Or what do you, when you say it's apples and oranges, and why we can't compare our tax rate with their tax rate?
Kirk Hendrick, for the record. Yes, I'm certainly no expert in telling you what other states have done as far as their tax structure. I'd leave that to other people. But if your state only allowed, let's say, 5 casinos in Clark County and 3 in Washoe County, certainly you'd be able to charge a higher tax rate because that would be the only place you could go. Whereas Nevada has always had the belief that anybody with the proper background investigations and the proper business acumen and going through the rigorous standards of our gaming regulation could build and, build a casino, hire workers, and present the ability to make money. If you did that on a scale that had everybody, then you couldn't charge some of the taxes that these other states do where they only limit it to a certain amount of licensees.
Assemblyman Nguyen?
Oh, thank you, Chair. I wanted to see if you could help me understand the advanced license fees, why there's such a big jump from 3 million to 16 million on a year over year. I may have missed that in the presentation, so I'm sorry if I missed it.
Mike Morton, for the record, Assemblyman. In this specific case for the advanced license fees, FY22 is high rather than FY21 being low. In FY22, there was a large strip property that was sold, and the way that property sale was structured made that not a continuing operation. So it was a new operation, and so that new licensee was required to pay 3 months of advanced license fees based on its first month of operation.
Thank you for that answer. That was explained that. I'm like, wow, I didn't know we have something. Is like a big property that I missed or something. But yes, that was a good way. And then on the I've noticed that a lot of things that we do, it's coming up to an increase. Just kind of curiosity on the slot tax. It seems like it went down a bit. Was there a special meaning for that?
Mike Morton, for the record, can you just point me to which slot tax you're referring to?
Slide 17, annual slot tax. The collection went from 38 in FY21 to 37 in FY22.
Sure, Mike Morton for the record. Those numbers are fairly similar, but one of the trends that the board has seen and that the public, and I'm sure you all have seen, is those are the slot taxes based per machine, and machines have multiple games on one machine. And so the trend now is that there's more games being loaded onto one specific device rather than placing more devices on the casino floor. So that's why you've seen that minor dip between FY21 and FY22.
So if the machines, if we have more of these machines in the future, does that mean the revenue will be a lot less if folks are starting to do multiple game per machines?
Mike Morton for the record. Let me explain it a different way. So that dip between FY21 and 22, and FY21, machines had to be taken off the floor because of the health and safety policies that were there. So FY20 and FY21 probably aren't the best year-over-year comparisons, especially for this committee. Okay. But the dip, from 38.1 to 37.3 year over year for those 2 years is fairly immaterial, and I would fathom to guess that once FY23 comes in and we're back before you in 2 years, that you'll see a leveling out of that, just because casinos now are back at full operation after the pandemic.
Great. Thank you for the question. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And I just had a quick follow-up to Assemblyman Nguyen's question with respect to the advanced license fees. You had indicated, obviously, it was because the new property, there was the advance pay of the 3 months. So the advance pay actually happened in fiscal year 2022. And that when it levels out, we're looking at usually the advance license fee being around that $3.5 million.
Mike Morton for the record. Admittedly, the advanced license fee is the hardest gaming tax or fee to predict, only because we have a little bit of foresight based on the applications that have come into the board about what new properties might be opening, but outside of one fiscal year ahead, we don't have the foresight to know when new applications for new operations are going to come in. It's an extremely hard fee to predict, just because we never know when a new operation is going to apply for a gaming license.
Thank you. Next will be Assemblyman Gray.
Not light. You guys hear me? There we go. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you guys for coming back. It's funny, every time I hear this one, I pick up on something new. And Assemblywoman Gallant, she picked up on one of the ones I wanted to ask about, so thank you there. If I can draw your attention to slide 13. So we went into lockdown in March, if I remember correctly, March of 20. How is it we still had $72 million? I mean, we were quickly approaching FY19's amount. Did we collect advance fees on live entertainment or something, or what was the deal there?
Mike Morton for the record. So for FY20, it's going from July 1st of 2019 to June 30, 2020. And so that number represents roughly 9 months of a full collection year. So obviously, if you divided FY19 by 4, you're going to get roughly the same number.
Makes total sense. Sorry, I wasn't looking at an FY perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to intersect a question, then I'll move to someone else. I noticed that the Nevada Independent was talking about some issues that happened with respect to William Hill over Super Bowl Sunday with their, I guess, online service crashing. And there was a comment that that your guys were already investigating that shutdown. Is there any way you could share a status on that investigation, or where the William Hill online gaming is at right now?
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Kirk Hendrick. Yes, so once we found out about it, we sent agents actually over to William Hill, both technology agents and enforcement agents. And as you can expect, the licensee was scrambling to try to figure this out. And I certainly don't want to step on their messaging or anything, but they are cooperating with the board at this point. And it's a computer issue. I think they put out a statement to that effect, and they are hoping to have ability to be up and running very fast. Now, this applied to the app that they had, the mobile gaming app, and the kiosk wagering. My understanding is it didn't apply to if you went and did it in person at what they call the retail locations. And again, as you know, that Super Bowl being the biggest sporting event ever, it was very troublesome for the licensee, and they are doing the best they can to get it up and running as soon as they can. The board will continue to be involved with them, and we will monitor and investigate to whatever extent we need to find out what happened, and most importantly, to be sure that everyone who placed a bet in Nevada is sure that it was a fair game, a safe game, and that they properly got paid out whatever wagers they made.
Thank you for that. I will move on to Vice Chair Considine.
Thank you, Chair. Can I ask a follow-up question from yours first? Absolutely. Okay, so then, once this is determined and figured out, will there be a report that does explain what happened?
Kirk Hendrick, for the record, yes, there will be public information, I'm sure, from the licensee themselves, because they have patrons that they will have to acknowledge. As far as the board is concerned, it'll take a while to be sure, because we'll have to do audits and enforcement investigations and all. The key being is that, as you would expect, our phones were ringing off the hooks, and I'm sure their phones were ringing off the hook as well. It will take some time, but yes, there will have to be some kind of reporting, because otherwise you'll end up with patron disputes that each person will say, this is what I wagered, and I didn't get paid out. I'm sure that the licensee doesn't want that to happen because of their reputation, but the board will do everything we can to investigate that.
Thank you. So that means there will be a report potentially down the line from the board.
Kirk Hendrick, again, for the record, we don't always put out public reports about things, but they will be subject to disciplinary matters, which would be very public if it got to that level. I'm not saying it is, but that would be public, and I'm sure they, being a gaming licensee in this state, will have to put out public information. So there will be transparency as to what happened. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. And then my question, as far as the investigations division, saying that part of it is to analyze activities of publicly traded corporations and their subsidiaries involved in the gaming industry, has there been any thought or plan or any discussions about the consolidation that we're seeing on the Strip, both in the actual property that I believe is publicly traded and also on the resorts that are on the properties, or is this not something that anyone is worried about?
Kirk Hendrick, again for the record. Yes, Vice Chair Considine. The investigation division actually has two separate departments. One regulates licensees that are publicly traded entities, and the other part of investigations is those that aren't publicly traded licensees, closely held corporations, LLCs, those type of things. We don't tell the industry what to do in terms of their business structure, but once they present their business structure, it's the Gaming Control Board's responsibility to properly understand what are they trying to do and to capture those that need to be actually licensed, or officers and directors that have to be found suitable, all the way down to the business structure on the public side and on the private side. So if they decide to consolidate, the Gaming Control Board's responsibility is to be sure that we know everything they're trying to do.
Do we have any further questions? Oh, how can I forget? I'm so sorry. Assemblywoman Anderson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I do have a few, which it's become a joke a little bit on this committee with me, and it's okay. My first question has to do, actually, it's a little bit forwarding on with what the chair had brought up. When it comes to the sports books, what area is that under? Because is it under non-restrictive? Is it what? Is it separate? What area do you actually report that in?
Mike Morton for the record, Assemblywoman Anderson. So a race and sportsbook license is a separate, non-restricted type of license. But those numbers, money that a licensee wins from their sportsbook, that is reported in gross gaming revenue, and so it is taxed under the three-tier structure of the percentage fees in 463.370.
Thank you. Can I continue? Okay. I do have a few. So I'll just continue then on slide 15. When you mentioned about the advanced license, and I believe it was one of the follow-up questions as well, initially it sounded like it was new properties, but then it turned into new licensees. And so is it if it's a new property, or is it if there's a new individual who has bought the property that the advanced license fee is utilized for?
Mike Morton for the record. The short answer is both. I'll give a couple examples because it's public information. The Venetian was recently sold, and that's what accounts for this specific amount. Venetian was sold, and it was structured in such a way that it's being sold to an entirely new applicant applying for a gaming license, and so the board deemed that a new operation. The chairs of the board and commission have statutory authority now to deem certain types of license transfers a continuing operation, and that depends on a myriad of factors that would, you guys would be here until 7 o'clock at night for us to explain those. But yeah, so it's both. So a construction of a new property obviously is a new operation, but then oftentimes a transfer or a sale of an existing operation is also deemed a new operation, and then those advanced license fees would apply.
Thank you so much, because we continue to hear about some of the same companies buying up other casinos. My next question has to actually do with slide 17. I'm moving quick now. You had mentioned that there are less devices on the floor, so that's why we've got the change in the slot tax. Does that mean that there are more table games on the floor, or is it simply that the slot devices that are currently being utilized have more games inside of that same device?
Mike Morton for the record. As technology advances, yes, there's each box has the ability to hold more games. Because of the pandemic, we did see sort of a restructuring generally of casino floors where there were more slot machines rather than live table, card, and counter games for obvious reasons. And so, as I said before, I think the next couple fiscal years will be a much better picture for this committee and for other legislators to see how licensees might restructure their casino floors now that they're back to full operation.
Greatly appreciate that clarification, because I hate, a little side note, I hate walking into a casino and seeing all boxes and no 21 tables, as somebody that knows individuals that help put themselves through school that way. My last question has to do with the regulations of the monitoring of the tribal gaming compacts, page 7. How many gaming compacts do we currently have in Nevada, number one? But then a secondary question as well. How is our neighboring areas who are now continue to approve more and more gaming beyond our state line? Is that impacting our ability to have more people come to our state to participate in the gaming, because this is such a huge part of our economy?
Mike Morton for the record, Assemblywoman Anderson. I'll take the first part of your question as to the number of gaming compacts. So there are currently 4 active gaming compacts between the state of Nevada and Indian tribes. Those compacts are basically become federal law. They're approved by Congress. And so Nevada's a little different than every other state that has Indian gaming. That is, every other state is governed by the National Indian Gaming Act. We're here in Nevada. We enter into compacts with these tribes. They are subject to the same laws, gaming laws and regulations that every other licensee is subject to, and most of the time, in return for being subject to those same rigorous standards of all of our other licensees, they are not paying the percentage fees in most cases. They are simply paying for the cost of compliance. And as to the second part of your question, as Indian gaming expands elsewhere, I think that we have seen, especially most recently, Indian tribes from outside of Nevada are coming into Nevada to get licensed. And so no matter how often gaming expands across the country and across the world, people from outside of Nevada still see Nevada as the top-tier destination, not just for visitors, but to run their gaming businesses here.
Well, I'm so happy you brought that up, because of the 4, how many are tribal areas that have been in Nevada before entering into this compact?
Mike Morton for the record. So to clarify, we enter into gaming compacts with Nevada tribes. If a tribe from outside of Nevada, for example, the Mohegan tribe out of Connecticut now operates the casino inside of the Virgin Hotel. They come in and get licensed just like any other applicant. It's Nevada tribes that we enter into compacts with.
Thank you, and thank you, Chair, for that much time.
No more follow-ups?
Well, I can make one up if you like, but thank you so much for that much time.
Thank you so much. I do have a follow-up to that. Assemblywoman Anderson asked one of my questions I made notes of, because today actually happens to be Nevada Tribes Day at the legislature, so this was like time appropriate. With respect to the compact fees that are being paid for compliance there too, for those 4 compacts, do you oversee that, or does those funds go elsewhere?
Mike Morton for the record. So I will state from the beginning that those funds are minimal, and those stay with the board as a cost of doing business.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other further questions? Oh, Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong.
Thank you. I guess this is my time, so I better ask. We have a property in my community that is closed. It has a gaming license. How long does that go on? I mean, I don't understand how that works, but I think the license is pending, and so there's a lot of effort in the community to do some redevelopment. And so, there's no license, the place is not open, or I don't understand it, but how do we move along our redevelopment if we have a place there that can't seem to move forward with their license? We would like to see some movement.
Kirk Hendrick for the record. I'm not sure exactly which property that is, but as you would expect, everything's fact-specific. It's ownership-specific, it's property-specific, it's do they have all of the requirements necessary to be either a non-restricted or restricted licensee. I will tell you, though, that our investigations division, which would be handling that matter, do try to handle all applications as timely as possible, and I can personally assure you that you can call my number, my cell number at any time. If something's not being done just because of backlog or red tape, that's actually why I took this job. Is I want to be here so that we are responding to communities, we are responding to our residents. I don't believe that's the case because I've been here for 2 weeks and that's not what I've heard, but I'm guessing that it's probably just a matter of being sure that the property is up to the standards to get a gaming license, and then of course all the backgrounds on the people. There is a certain amount of time that an investigation takes, not to get too deep in the weeds, but like if the owners lived in multiple foreign countries, gaming agents actually will go to those foreign countries. So this will happen in the situation of a major property on the Las Vegas Strip. It may take over a year easily if we have to send agents to Ireland and to England and to all kind of countries, because that's how the background investigation works. I seriously doubt that would happen in a smaller location, but it does, it could. But I will assure you that we're moving as fast as we can on any application.
Next, we'll go to Assemblyman Haven.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And gentlemen, I have to thank you I think that the Gaming Control Board has been said numerous times, you guys are the gold standard of the nation and probably the world now. I'm pretty sure that Nevada has brought in more gaming revenue than any other state in the nation. And I believe one of your slides, I can't seem to place it, but we've collected more gaming revenue last year than the state of Nevada has in its entire history, right? It was the largest year for us, 2022. Is that correct?
Mike Morton for the record, Assemblyman Haven, that is correct. And so obviously the numbers that I presented were numbers that the state collected in taxes. But specific to your question, yes, Nevada's gaming industry has seen, record months and record years in gaming win, which is what, what the House wins. And so I believe we just released our December numbers. It's 22 months of over $1 billion a month in gaming win by non-restricted licensees here in Nevada.
Thank you. And then I'll bite my tongue. Follow up offline with that individual.
Thank you. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody else that may have any questions. Okay. I do. Oh, okay. We'll go to Assemblyman O'Neill. Here's my one person to look at.
I feel mandatory that I got to ask a question. And having worked with the Gaming Control Board, I appreciate your presentation and the work you do for our state in keeping us as the gold standard. You all, our target right now, audience, those that are gaming, are we looking at an aging population, or are we still staying towards that youthful group? I know we had looked at the e-gaming within the facilities to take on the younger group, because there was a conversation about where just old people are doing it and dying off, and our gaming revenues are going down. So I was just curious about that. And otherwise, I know gaming fairly decently enough, having worked with you all, and appreciate it if you could.
Thank you, Assemblyman. For the record, Kirk Hendrick. Certainly aging is an issue for all of us. I will say that with all of my gray hair sitting in front of you today. The industry is well aware of that. They track this on minute detail down to each machine, as you would know, working with the gaming industry, money in, money out, and everything else. And yes, it is a goal of the industry. One, we as the gaming regulators need to be sure we understand, but it's a goal of the gaming industry to be sure that the games are interesting enough that younger people want to play them. They're so used to multitasking and multi-video at the same time. I've got kids that are just past teenage years now. I've never seen them have only one piece of electronic equipment. It's always two now. And so, yes, you've got to be sure that the gaming experience is the same as their experience on their Xbox or anything else. But the industry is very aware of that, and it's a high priority to be sure that we don't age out the gaming patrons.
Can you, if I may, Chair? Absolutely. I know, the old slot machines, the various plays, but what are we looking at? I know it really doesn't have to deal with revenue, but just for our own edification, can you talk about what some of the new games that some of the industries are looking at to put out to attract that younger crowd? And how we would go after revenue or taxing on those? Would they just be part of as a standard slot machine, or how would they be viewed?
Kirk Hendrick, for the record. Again, I would let the industry provide the innovation, and we want to provide the highway to allow them to have that innovation, to keep bringing out new games. So I wouldn't want to steal any of their thunder, but skill-based gaming that you're aware of, you'll see a lot more of bonus type of gaming, which is Wheel of Fortune has been the most successful slot machine in history, and it's because it has a secondary bonus feature. You'll see more of that in future years, which you're already seeing. You will see skill-based gaming to make it look more like an interactive, but at the same time, we have to be sure that the game is protected. We have to be sure that there's no way to game the game, in other words. And so because of that, there's still random number generators and all. So the experience will be bigger. As you see now, if you walk by any casino, the machines are getting bigger and the graphics are fascinating now and the size of the video screens are bigger. That's a better experience for anybody at any age. But if you don't provide an important gaming experience, it becomes stale. So again, I wouldn't want to steal their thunder, but each year you'll see conferences across the world where they're rolling out new machines to bring in new customers.
Thank you, Chair, for the time.
And we'll turn to Assemblywoman Cohen.
I have a comment more than a question, but I'm sure the International Gaming Institute at UNLV would love to give you a tour. They are all over all of the new types of games and making sure that we're ahead of the curve and making sure that we've got gaming going forward for generations, at least the next couple of generations.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. And I would really like to thank not only Chair Hendrick, Mr. Morton, but as well as board members Watkins and Assad, who had joined us in Las Vegas, for coming and being before our Committee on Revenue. And thank you for your presentation. And so you guys can be dismissed. Thank you so much. I would now like to open the meeting for public comment. And I believe the Las Vegas room just emptied out. But if there is anyone in Las Vegas that would like to give public comment, can approach. It does not look like anything. Okay, so also here in Carson City, is there anyone that would like to make public comment? And then last but not least, BPS. Is there anyone on the phone who would like to provide public comment?
Chair, the public line is open and working, but there are no callers at this time.
Thank you so much. Are there any comments from the members before we adjourn? Okay, with that, we will be back in room 4100 on Thursday, and I look forward to seeing everyone at 4 p.m.